rate is good, counter is going, and we're not dropping frames at the moment, so that's good. So hello and welcome once again to Final Fantasy XIV with the Blighty Otaku. Yeah, again, I really need to actually get that bot fixed. Might need to actually contact Stream Element support to actually try and fix that. Anywho. Oh! That's right, we don't have... What are we missing? Oh, because we have the recommendations. Challenge log. So no, we should have another... Marine fishing, fish guide. Recommendations, collection, key items. Yes, we've got the Ether Compass and we got Wondrous Tales last week. Start section, traits of inventory, portrait, currency, character. Armory, chest, inventory, Kakapos, Telebear, companion. Because I know we have this, we have that, and unless we've actually not gotten to the point where we actually have achievements that would actually be completable. Oh, and we're walking the wrong way. Right, well. But yeah, we're back on this little jaunt. Because last week we managed to complete last week we actually managed to complete the Fafnir section of the early MSQ, and I am stuttering like a son of a beach. Yeah. So now we're on to the old Charlian section. Yeah, I will actually, as one other thing, I will actually be doing the Starlight Celebration stuff later on. Because my intent is to actually complete this, and yeah, I was originally thinking of just could you please stop stuttering? Outside Numenon. Numenon is going to be over here. Yeah, and I really need to get a better computer. And a better graphics card. So I'm going to need a lot more grunt when 7.0 comes along with its graphical update. Our directions read enough to follow, I hope. In any case, you stand now before the doors of Numenon, Charlian's grandest collection of books and tomes. This building is actually only an entrance, and one of many at that. For the archives of Numenon extend deep beneath the surface like roots of a tree. The vast halls of the great Google library pale in comparison comparison to Newland's endless maze of subterranean chambers. Any citizen of Charlotte is free to enter and peruse its shelves. Well, most of its shelves. Only Archons are afforded to access certain restricted vaults. I've dispatched Strola and Raha to investigate those. Meanwhile, Alizé and Alphino will help me continue my search through the stacks open to the general public. Your status permits more of a problem. As a non-citizen, you are only permitted to browse the first floor here at the entrance. Even so, there should be a number of books which touch upon Charlian history or forum policy. Task to be to find and study the relevant publications. I promise you, a working knowledge of those subjects will make it far easier to spot the sort of clues we're looking for. Well, let's be about it, shall we? I told the others to meet us at the stone benches over there once they found some promising tomes. Happy reading. Yeah. Because eBay is offering a 50% discount on certain items. Long way down. Brightly coloured book. Title on the spine reads The Story of Charlian. The flood of terrifying proportions would soon sweep over the lands of Eorzea. So it was that he built a gigantic ship, assembled a crew, and set sail for that imperial ram. The flood arrived as foretold, and to their horror, the strangely churning waters drove the people towards the ocean. It was there, however, that Nuremberg's crew hauled them aboard his ark, but the danger had not passed. A towering wave approached, threatening to smash the vessel's pieces. A mighty spell of teleportation had shifted the entire ship safely off Abalaffa's spine. Refugees from the surrounding regions huddled there alongside them, but it was not long before dispute over the dwindling supply of food led to violence and bloodshed. Saddened by the sight, gathered to him his crew and his grateful passengers and abandoned the ark to those reddened peaks. They journeyed to the coast where they built a new ship, intent upon returning to the northern seas. They landed on the beach of an island and settled upon that very spot. That settlement prospered and grew, and in time became the city of Charlian. Okay, so that was one. Red covered book. Rose of Old, The Colony. The Banker of Fayak in the Dravanian hinterland, the Charlian colony once thrived. This settlement was originally established as a mere outpost to study the ethereal sea in the year 1311 of the 6th Astral Era. Scholars dispatched to Eorzea found the facilities wanting, and their demands encouraged a gradual expansion in the structures and services. As rumours spread of a growing community of academics, the area was further inundated with Eorzean students hoping to share in the renowned wisdom of the Charlians. 50 years later, the Forum passed a motion to recognise what had become a flourishing town as an official Charlian colony. Eorzean residents took to calling the colony itself Charlian, which led to no small amount of confusion when discussions turned to the subject of the motherland. In response, some Charlian inhabitants, if pressed for a name, would simply refer to it as Emporium. Following the Exodus, however, goblins and treasure hunters claimed for themselves a corner of the abandoned colony and gave it yet another name, Idilshire. Following chapters go on to introduce the most prominent features of Idilshire. The book does not appear to contain additional information on the forum or cover the history of the Charlian motherland in greater detail. Right. Leather-bound tome. The voice of a growing city. I think this might be important. In the years which followed the founding of Charlian, civic policy and other matters of import were decided at a public forum in which every citizen was eligible to speak. As the city's population grew, however, this format became increasingly impractical. The large number of participants gave rise to ever longer debates, resulting in significant delays and vital resolutions. Various measures were introduced in an attempt to curtail protracted discussions, but in the year 201 of the Sixth National Era, it was ultimately decreed that Charlian would transition to a new form of governance. The nation will now be led by a body of 99 members, citizens chosen from amongst their people. Yeah. That's literally the forum. Blue-covered book. Okay. An introduction to the heavens. I don't think that's important. Well-worn manual. Forever 20 Summers. No. Time-worn tome. Stewards of Wisdom. During the chaos of the Sixth Umbral Clarity, witnesses the madness and savagery of man brought to the brink of despair. On raising a settlement on the island of the Northern Empty, he instructed his people thus: as the ways of war, pursue enlightenment through knowledge and reason. Giants took to heart the words of their savior and there served the stewards of wisdom. Yeah, it is actually what I was looking for. Well, I think that was actually the last book. Alright, were you waiting long? Also make sure I'd borrowed at least a few promising volumes. Alpha and Crowd should also be along shortly. Was delayed in a similar fashion. As far as I could see, no titles in the Archon stacks mentioned the final day specifically. So you have no choice but to start with the tangentially relevant plan is to skim through as quickly as we dare and share our discoveries as we make them. Would have been nice to invite everyone to the estate. Plenty of comfortable places to read and a ready supply of hot tea. Oh, I was always quite fond of reading outside. But it's not about the little places, is it? You miss your home. It's been difficult. After our arrival, we managed to speak with some of the family servants and ask how things were. It seems our dear father has instructed the staff that even if Alphino and I were returned to Charlian, we are not allowed across the threshold. Yeah. A harsh measure indeed. I hope that our efforts to understand his position and that of the Forum will perhaps lead to a reconciliation. We'll mend this rift one day, I'm certain of it. And what of you, Graha? Have you been to visit your family, or do they not live here in the city? Well, my situation is somewhat complicated. I was raised in Charlian, yes, but I was born farther further away. In the southern reaches of Ilzabad, in fact. For generations, my people have dwelt in Korvos, the coastal region opposite the island of Favnir. The Alligans founded a city in that fertile land, and by ship brought the treated tribesmen of Kote to serve as labourers. Of course, the massive earthquakes of the Fourth Umbral Clarity brought an end to the Empire's reign. When the Fifth Clarity froze the seas solid, many of the tribes still living in Korvos braved the journey back to Eorzea. My ancestors, however, chose to remain, that they might prevent the remnants of Allagan technology from being misused. In Korvos under Guardian rule, past 50 years, yes, some semblance of local culture remains, as the case for most of the imperial provinces, but Gunwald renamed the local. The nobles of House Darnus. Now that name sounds familiar. House Darnus demonstrated a singular interest in Allegan civilization, so my tribe was forced to consider a plan of action. Some time already, voices had been raised in favour of abandoning our ancient customs. After all, the Allegan I no longer passed to our eldest children. The career of discovery eventually tipped the scales, and the decision was made to bury our ties with the knowledge and traditions of Allag. As the last child born with the Allegan I was given over to the custody of a friend in the students of Baldessian, who had me read. Even Frank was taking a bark on Louis Swell, was he not? Stories of adopted waifs and rescued orphans are more common among. Yeah. Alright. Yeah, no good reason to get to the bottom of foreign stubbornness, aside from the trifling matter of our impending doom. Use us when we try to make some headway into these books. Well, should be arriving any moment now. Yeah, I think that will probably be. Also, figures were quite slim indeed. Richard Child has already flicked through history book devoted to disasters, or more than a few which barely made mention of them. As such, we'll be looking into research papers on the Umbral calamities, as well as articles written by prominent forum members. Perhaps their knowledge of the final days comes from an unexpected source. Questions related to the final days. Only one here who didn't witness the events of Amarok firsthand, and fear I may be overlooking critical details. Now, where to begin? Ancients' accounts of the first final days drew nigh. Complete the stabilization of creation magics. Yes, the unfolding catastrophe wrought havoc on all manner of life. The chaos extended to the ancients themselves, causing their powers of creation to spiral out of control. Fear and despair manifested in terrible, tangible fashion. Meteors raining from the sky, fire erupting from the ground, indescribable abominations prowling the streets. That more or less aligns with my understanding. If only the arts of creation had survived until the present day, we might. These techniques were not preserved or passed on. Yustola summarizes that the closest known magic is that of the summoning rituals promulgated by the Asians. The heralded approach to the final days. They began with a keening sound from the land itself. Oh yes, the Amatorines spoke of this, didn't they? We never did hear this sound ourselves, of course. Trust as we were, that each and every one of the catastrophes is preceded by this ominous noise. Eventually it resounded all across the star, and not even Amarok was spared. So the ground was crying out, you say? To be considered the harbinger of doom, it must have been quite distinctive, and probably quite loud. I had to speak with one of Numenon's memets and ask after any books which make mention of such a sound. Ask talk to Carl the Armored Academy. What definitive action did they take? They summoned Zodiac. As Waluna was serving his heart, so many gave themselves in sacrifice to bring him into being. We do not know exactly how Zodiac brought salvation to the start, only that by his godlike... fellows not manifested their opposition in the form of Heidelin. Bringing back the final days. You see what they're doing with those towers of theirs is forcing people to summon primers, a kind of catalyst. They attempting to mirror the conditions caused by unstable creation magics. But it's simply using the final days as a figure of speech. A convenient metaphor for the scale of destruction they plan to unleash. Let's return our attention to the forum, shall we? Keep an eye out for your shoulder, but this time we began studying these research papers. Alright. Okay, and next phase. Now we have to wait for your Stola. I'm not after my extended research of the Archon Secretary's one or two possibly useful books. I won't get your hopes up. If you recall, Uriange learned the sources reflections from the Guran oracles. For its potential to cause panic and confusion, the tome was deemed apocrypha. They're sitting on the shelf for any curious scholar to find. Confronted Master Fortuno with knowledge of the Telephor and their machinations. We scoffed at the suggestion that they posed a threat. He seemed adamant that the Forum would know if the final days were truly upon us, which only supports the conclusion that whatever privileged wisdom is guiding the Forum's behaviour is being kept secret from the rest of the nation. contain mention of the final data and these books that yet hold something of value. It feels like an age as Yashtoda's research assistant. Right. Trial. Your study. Were you able to find any books on the subjects I mentioned? Then the day was well spent. Should you wish to read them again, a reference desk will point you in the right direction. So, though I suggest you take a well-deserved rest. We might be occupied with our research for quite some time. They're seated on the last stand. Okay, speak with Alize. Oh, I think I can, I think it's very rude that we can't just thunderclap to the Aephorite. Let's head down to Scholar's Harbour. Doesn't seem to be that much in the way of people around. How very shocking that no other gourmet cafe has sprung up to compete for customers. Yeah, it looks like we've been, go. She set is for the chatty group sitting by the water's edge. Omelette is one of the regulars. She is standing at a table with a friend of hers. See, okay, she had reordered the oven-baked lobster. Right, so now we're actually acting as serving girl. Okay, I think this is the... hang on. I think we can actually go... Tea sets for the chatty group sitting by the water's edge. Tea set. Right, now I've got that. Yeah, because he has the oven-baked lobster. They seem unaware of the final date, aside from whatever vague news the gazettes are printing. Even Dixon is knowing to already. He's the best source of gossip in the city. The forum does have secret knowledge, then they've done an impressive job of ensuring no one whispers it in the wrong ear. In any case, thank you for playing the part of a cup of coffee, I promise.
When our father disowned us, I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It wasn't until much later that his words began to sink in, that I began to feel the weight of what it meant. Do you remember when the decision was made to come to Charlian? Grahas said that the Forum was determined to keep us in the dark, and that Father's venomous performance was part of that strategy, to keep us at arm's length. Perhaps it was. Father argued with Grandfather on many occasions, but never with such dismissive contempt. And when he demanded what justifies the sacrifices we make in war, I honestly didn't know what to say. Neither did Alpha know, I know, but never for one moment did I believe we had made the wrong choice. So all I could do was fume silently. It was only afterwards that I realized how childish I had been. How being stubborn and self-righteous must run in the family. If I could have just mustered a civil response, then things might have turned out differently. They must be ferrying goods to Labyrinthos. A vast complex beneath the island. Sharlayan is famous for archiving knowledge from around the world. Well, that knowledge is not preserved exclusively in dusty tomes and desiccated samples. Our living library, comprised of all manner of flora and fauna, is housed and studied within that underground facility. Still, that did seem to be an unusually large shipment. When I lived here, it was rare to even see such cargo transported by boat. Wait! Didn't you hear something in the last stand about the gleaners coming and going more than usual? Well, I think they're the ones we saw manning those boats. And gleaners answer to the Forum. If the appearance of the Telophoroi prompted this sudden burst of activity, then Labyrinthos may hold a clue as to what the Forum is planning.
And that should be level 81. Maroon fine descent. Alright, so back to the studio. Also cleared your head, have you? Exactly, we did some impromptu investigating and turned up information on the Gleaners. Makes sense, the Gleaners take their requests directly from institutions and bureaucrats, but as you say, they ultimately answer to the Forum. A sudden and significant increase in Gleaner trafficking and in cargo, it certainly gives an impression of an overarching plan being put into motion. Let us see what theory we can build from the facts. As your stoner observed earlier, Numenon's archives appear to contain no information concerning the final days. As they learned at the last stand, we can be easily sure that most Charlings know nothing of that particular period of ancient history. Yet my father and his colleagues are not only familiar with the final days, but are also somehow certain that the destruction being perpetrated by the Telophoroi is wholly unlike those apocalyptic events. Moreover, the Forum claims to be so occupied by a duty of such pressing importance that they saw fit to unanimously deny Eorzea's request for aid. And now the Gleaners, official agents of the state, have been mobilized on an unprecedented scale. No room for us and assess the situation for ourselves. If we're lucky, the Gleaners will be far more receptive to our questions. Anything would be better than burying my head in another dusty book. A fine idea. Funeral subject or electric researcher may join you later, but feel free to leave behind your borrowed books and be on your way. I'll see to it that each is returned to its proper place. Okay, where are the entrances? Speak with Alize and follow her lead. There we go. You're gonna like this. A brisk walk. I'm still walking faster than her in freaking RP mode. Well. Come on, slow poke. Back there, didn't you? It'll make your life much easier if you need to come back in a hurry. Otherwise, we should keep moving. Yeah. Right. First things first, let's talk to the chicken keep.
Deep beneath the scholar's city shines a false sun within a fabricated sky. In any age exist those who consider the floor an extension of their bookshelves, and this vault's architects surely belonged to that special breed. If the stack grows too high, start a new one. If no room remains, then make more rooms. A simple solution at first, and then bit by bit, a profound transformation. Knowledge buried beneath knowledge, a growing, creeping labyrinth from which there is no escape.
Not what you expected. I must admit, the artifice is very convincing. But I assure you that we are beneath Sharlayan itself. The breeze you feel, the flowing waters you hear, all created by the hand of man.
The island is volcanic, you see, and once upon a time this great hollow must have been a reservoir for magma. It was discovered some 400 years ago, at which point it was repurposed as a storage facility for scrolls and samples and such. Renovations have continued, with nigh on no interruption to this day, with the lower levels still undergoing expansion.
Aren't those people gleaners?
Aye, judging by their dress. They are said to work alone as a rule, but 'twould seem that rule is being enthusiastically broken today. It may be as you suspected, that they are engaged in a task apart from the norm.
Let's spread out and get some answers then. Ugh. Did you call to me just now? No. How odd. I must be a bit dizzy from the descent. I'll be fine, I'm sure. Let's get to work, shall we?
Okay, I think what I'm going to do is I'm not going to take a bio break, I'm going to take a break to make something to drink as well. The cola's run out and I need something a little more warmer. And I've already got a cup of tea on, actually set up and ready to go. I just need to oil the kettle. So I will be back momentarily. he has been acquired, as has a few consumables. Dobbin! On the books, Anora and Fauna. If it needs hauling, I haul it. Every decade or so, they take stock in Labyrinth Foss, you know. Sort and tidy up the inventory. Never seen an operation like this before, though. They just did one a few summers ago, even. Then, with no warning, all this mess gets dropped in our lap. Orders from on high. Damned if I know the reason. Could be that they're changing the layout, eh? Preparing for the next big expansion. You know, we don't have to worry about repairs. Let me think. So it should be item 1058. Human Seeds 1059. Snubbleberry 1060. Or were they 1061? Ah, my head feels like it's stuffed with Moko grass. I'm all loath to take out and carry in. Why do all this at once and risk mixing it up? What if someone mistakes the Kerpen carrots for the Gira Banyan carrots? What then? And here's Erenville. You here to help or give more headaches? Give me more headaches because you don't have the look of a gleaner on in no mood for idle chatter. One of my colleagues was so exhausted he took a tumble and crashed into a pile of crates. Now I have a pack of marmots running loose. Your exchange of Erenville has called about exhausted gleaners. Alright. Looks like someone has money to burn. Search for a grizzled mouse to defeat any enemies which appear. Ah, there it is. Captured a grizzled mouse. You ready to sack when a grizzled mouse scampers off into the underbrush. So if I remember, the next pace is round here. Yep, I can see the shimmering circle of get ready to fight. Use the rat sack on the grizzled mouse. And he's off. There's your grass before once more disappearing into the trees. And you know what? Oh yeah, it's... Yeah, because the audio cutout was there you are. Come here, get into my sack. So we actually have... Oh yeah, that I think was probably from the last dungeon I did. a squirming rat sack to Erlenville. Meet you. One accounted for. I found your one rat. Ah, there's the odd mama out. Put our friends into a holding cage. And we have a cutscene, which means I can actually, seems to be unharmed. Held up well in isolation. As soon as seem to release them into the habitat. Soon we'll be able to recapture them so swiftly you have my thanks. What do you do with the marmots now? As for the foreign to the side, they're still guiding our in this great inventory of theirs. email for now. Oh, good, an etherite. Okay, zero non-service charting. Often through its architecture to its upper entrance, an access point to the vaults carved into the cliffside itself. like to pursue this one further. Right.
Fair shot. Nicely done. Let me truss this one up and I'll make my way over to you.
There you are. Any new revelations? So you met with that gleaner again, this time to capture a hornbill. I understand catching and bringing in creatures from the outside, but what's the point of chasing after ones already here?
Oh, it's a simple thing, really. Occasionally, we remove specimens no longer needed for study, or those we've had difficulty raising. But we can't simply turn them loose. Safely returning such creatures to their native habitats is another facet of a gleaner's duties. But not in this case, I'm afraid. I've been asked to bring the bird below.
The restricted section in the lower levels of Labyrinthos. Open only to a select few researchers handpicked by the Forum. The projects down there are the subject of rumor and hearsay. Forbidden magics. Advanced technologies that can never be allowed to fall into outside hands. Even Archons are not privy to the truth. Those who are, the researchers involved in this secretive work, are not permitted to walk freely in the city, and are instead required to live in isolated quarters.
What could a facility subject to such strict security protocols possibly need with a hornbill? An experiment?
Possibly. I wasn't afforded an explanation. But judging by the requisition list given to me and my colleagues, I doubt it's for any kind of advanced research. I'd be more inclined to believe we were making preparations to migrate to the south. Mericidia or thereabouts.
What? Why would you say that?
Much of the flora and fauna we were asked to procure could serve as reliable sources of sustenance. They're comparatively hardy species, too, able to endure harsh climates. And among them are specimens known to be effective in improving soil quality and purifying water.
When you put it that way, migration does sound like a reasonable assumption.
That's all it is, though. An assumption. Through our tasks, we gleaners glimpse only bits and pieces of the Forum's plans. Our prime concern is that our requisitions, be they living or otherwise, are properly preserved for the knowledge of future generations. Now, I really must be going. I regret that I cannot reward you as you deserve.
Perhaps you might reward us after a fashion then. It is imperative that we reach the lower levels. And seeing as you are already set to descend with your assigned cargo, mayhap we could accompany you as your assistants.
I'm afraid that won't be possible. Once the animals have been prepared for transport, we send them down separately via the lift. I will of course follow after to make my report, but I can hardly pass you off as porters when there's nothing left to carry.
Indeed. Pray forget I said anything.
How do you feel about climbing? If you've strength and the courage to brave it, then there is another way down. This path leads to the 33rd facet, a mine shaft excavated during one of our expansions of Labyrinthos. While I cannot guarantee that the passage is safe to traverse, it should provide access to the medial circuit below.
I never even knew such a place existed. Thank you. This is the perfect solution.
You're quite welcome, but consider yourselves warned. If the going proves too treacherous, you'd do well to turn back. I bid you good day.
Well, turning back is hardly an option, not when we've come this far. Let's go and take a look at this mine shaft.
Alright, so we're going to be getting that a lot. One other thing I was thinking, oh, I was right. It does actually unlock flight in all other areas. So we've got Heavenswood, Stormblood, and Shadowbringers. So we don't have anything here. We've only got one primary current in Thavnia. I'm thinking of I was wondering, is that actually down here? Compass again. Yeah, it's likely down here. At the entrance to the mine shaft. It's faint, but I hear something moving within. Creatures honed there by the researchers, you think? Well, slavering beast aside, we will need to watch our footing. We should tighten our straps and such before we continue. I actually think that there isn't much to Alright. The 33rd facet. Survey the area and defeat any enemies that appear. Alright, hang on. Compass to the south. I'm gonna quickly, go down here, because I think there's a... Yes, there is actually an ether current down here. available. Oh, lovely. Yep. And now we speak with Alphino. And we're now in the medial circuit. And there's nothing of coincidence at least, and that process has delivered us into the medial circuit. To recall, this tier is where they keep a wide variety of samples for agricultural production. If Erenville's assumption holds true, specimens are being collected in preparation for a great migration, then we should see evidence of such plans in the area's research project. Let's follow the path to the nearest farming facility and see what we see. Yeah, at least that thing is blind as a bat. Or that, or I was looking at its back end. No! Come on! Right, let's wait for that to go, and let's just... Thank you. Survey the area at a designated location. Gather information on Varial agronomics. Wait, what in the heck are you doing down there, Kryl? Field for the right vegetables being left to rot on the vine, and a single picker's hard at work. Clearly procuring readily available fresh food is not the foreign's priority. And why are you sitting there staring at it? Yes, a couple of these do look like they're a bit, overripe. That is I'm told this cart holds the harvestmen for the larders here. Nothing out of the ordinary. Hey, what is that? Right. Jepka. We weren't expecting visitors, not with the use of the lift being restricted. How did you make it down here anyway? The mine shaft, you say? Well, you're a much hardier soul than I. Under normal circumstances, I'd reward such tenacity with a guided tour in the fields, when I afraid to perform my fitting orders order lists a mom long. Massive yet detailed requests, and literal wagon loads of crop samples, and hardly any time to put them together. When I first heard of this grand reorganization, I assumed we would be shuffling around old stuff to make room for the new. Then came the orders for ridiculous quantities of seeds we've already thoroughly researched. Passing strange, eh? I pressed for an explanation and was met with vague assurances that all would be revealed in due course. Not the most satisfying answer. It's not often you meet someone here who so obviously doesn't belong. Can I help you with something? Second most important person in the city, huh? Visioning how we can improve our methods. Gazing for this water will come to heart and clears my mind of unnecessary thoughts, leaving room for only for brilliant ideas. Even so, inspiration takes time, and today it seems to be slower than the coming than usual. Alright. Alphino, what say you? So you spent years researching these high-yield cultivation techniques. Oh. Overwhelmed labourer. So that ought to be taken down below. What more? More than I can carry and then some. Most of our stock is sent off via the cargo lift, but some has been earmarked for aerial transport. And a stack of crates top that hill over there. God's falling a lot up that slope with a job and a half. Oh, crops been raising. Well, as you can see, this one is a variety of grape. It needs a good source of sunlight to grow, and the conditions here are nothing short of perfect. Hardly surprising given that it's native to a particular locale at the very place upon which benevolent frost smells, a region to the south of Ilsbard. Yeah, thank you very much. Investigate the stacked boxes. And now I'm gonna have to play the best game of hide and go seek. Oh, and I've attracted 2. Now I've attracted 3. Sorry, but I must run. That's a very odd flower. The labels on these crates tell the story of their contents. Bundles of common seeds and saplings, accompanied by sheaves of reports.
Hard to look away, isn't it? But they're more than pretty flowers. Heart blooms are attuned to ambient emotion. You don't seem convinced, but believe me, it's true. This ashen grey, for instance, it mirrors the anxiety and urgency of those working nearby as they rush to fulfill sudden orders. Intense feelings like those spur the petals to change colour. Bright glowing hues in the presence of joy, dark subdued shades for frustration or despair. Yet even with the collected wisdom of Charlian at our disposal, we've yet to identify the underlying principle of this empathic effect. And there are other mysteries besides. Although the flower is extraordinarily long-lived, its low reproductive rate has made it difficult to find younger populations growing in the wild. With too few sightings to map its distribution, and no closely related species to track, we've been unable to pinpoint its land of origin. To further complicate matters, every culture, even dimly aware of its existence, has given it a different name and mythos. Our attempts to study it via the historical record have been an exercise in frustration. As an avid botanist myself, I should one day like to unravel the Heartbloom's secrets. But I'm afraid other duties must take precedence. I will leave you to your thoughts.
Have you learned aught of interest? A flower that reacts to one's feelings? Strange. I must say, I have never heard of such a thing.
This is all very fascinating. But as it stands, we fail to gain any significant insight into the Forum's undertaking.
Indeed. While there is certainly enough activity to support Erenville's supposition that a priority has been placed on improving food production, unfortunately for our investigation, these workers were never informed as to how their duties serve the master plan.
If only we could interrogate the Forum members directly. Isn't that the entrance to the Archaean? Look, there. I think that's Erenville.
Yeah, it is in fact
A little
Erenville.
difficult to tell from here, but I think you're right. He did say he was coming down to make his report.
Erenville receives his orders from the Forum. Would it not follow, then, that the superior to whom he reports is a Forum member, or at least a close associate.
You mean to eavesdrop on their conversation? What of the risks?
Ours alone to bear. We won't interfere with Erenville's work, nor will he be implicated as an accomplice. If you're not comfortable taking part, I can do this alone.
Nay. I said myself that I wished to know Father's intentions. And no answers will be forthcoming should we simply ask nicely.
We can apologize later, should it come to it. Right now, we need every crumb of information we can get our hands on. Consequences be damned.
It might be best if you came along as well. In fact, we should all... Crier?
Oh, yes. That certainly sounds like a plan.
I'm glad you agree.
Quickly! Erenville is on the move. We need to get closer before we lose him.
I can almost reach you.
Alright. The Stola. The full report, warts and all. I think we have a teleport to... Yeah, the Archilian. Hold a moment, I have an idea. Very sir, that colossal warlock structure is listed on Beta, one of Level Reinforce's climate control centers. It should have its own list, with which one can access the upper or lower tiers. If I were an agent of the forum, it would make for a convenient meeting place. And even if we happen to find Erenville and the company said agent, we cannot expect them to reveal issues of importance as we nonchalantly stroll by. Nay, we shall have to remain undetected. If only Graha and his vanish spell were here. Oh, but there are other ways of turning invisible. Invisible. We're off with the passenger's time. Your green companion, topple along and catch up with Erenville. Should you feel the magic's fading, return to me and I will refresh the enchantment. Yes. Now you have to play a little game of Don't get aggroed when you're in transform. When you're a toad. There are the creatures hereabouts. In their form, you are essentially defenseless. You have changed into a toad. You must remain transfigured in order to progress with quest objectives. You return to this edge, you move too far away. Look to your map for the transfiguration's area of effect. Speak with your shoulder to restore and prolong the transfiguration. An healthy toad, an early toad, and now accompanying you. Keep them at your side in order to proceed with quest objectives. You can yep. Happy Toad has handsome fails to shake his head. But you know this isn't only telling you that this is the wrong way. Eddie Toad turns to face the door, especially suggesting that you cross the bridge. Yeah, because you have to actually be up over there.
I trust you will find your compensation to be more than satisfactory. We wish to make clear that we are pleased with the efficiency and thoroughness of your work. So much so that we have come bearing new tasks in need of your competent hand.
Another lengthy list. If I may speak frankly, the Gleaners have been pushed to the point of collapse by your unending demands. We are not familiars to be exploited. We are Charlian scholars and we deserve an explanation for this unseemly treatment. What warrants such urgency?
In an age long past, Charlian was charged with a momentous duty. And now that word of the final days hangs heavy in the air, the time has come for us to fulfill that charge. I can say no more, but I promise you this. All will be revealed in due course. And when it has, you will understand that your toil was in service to the greatest good.
then I will do your bidding. For now. But unless you wish the Gleaners to rise up in protest, I advise you to offer tangible improvements for our working conditions. Your promised revelation does nothing to address present circumstances.
A fair point. Your concerns will be conveyed to the Forum.
I hope that was informative. You may consider my debt to you repaid in full. While I do have my reservations about the Forum, I want to believe that they have our best interests at heart. Which is why I'm reassured that you're busy sniffing out the truth of things. We can ill afford to place all our eggs in one basket, this master plan of theirs, without first understanding the risks involved.
Wait! How did you know it was us?
If you mean to impersonate a toad, try studying the real thing. And don't try to fool an expert.
But would that be the same in reality? Right, Alphanos. The animal spirit will not be so easily deceived. Yet he seems inclined to put his trust in us all the same. More importantly, perhaps we discovered a new piece of the puzzle, this momentous duty the Forum agent mentioned. Charlotte had been called into action and the Sephiroth declaration was the catalyst. Whatever charge it is they hope to fill, they deem it of sufficient import to disrupt all of Labyrinthos. Not to mention ignore Eorze's request for aid. Yeah, and you, my good toad, can go take long walk offshore pier. Found Aaronville then. Not as much of anything. You should share this with Carl and discuss how we'd like to proceed. Soon we find her back at the farm. She was still behaving oddly, so I bade her return and rest there. Perhaps checking near those flowers she was so entranced by. The rest of us can survey the more distant areas, just in case she decided to wander. I think that is... Huh. it's up here, because this is where we drop down to head this way. Ah, here we go.
For you. The spell will keep it from wilting. She said you would need it for the journey ahead. Will you speak with her now? I cannot hope to match Minfilia's clarity, of course, but...
Thank you. Do not worry. She has lent me her body for only a moment. Just as I could not save the first from the flood of light, it has become arduous for me to interact with the physical world without assistance. Though I might converse with you for a time, the incorporeal form I assumed on the ship would be incapable of casting even the simplest enchantment. It is in the depths of the ethereal sea, the place to which all life returns, where my influence is greatest. After Minfilia's sacrifice on the first, it was to the sea, here in the source, where I ferried her soul. I wished that gentle spirit to find rest in the world she loved so well. Her, and another who may yet have a part to play, though that will depend on you. Take the flower, walk free, for you are free, to go where you wish, to believe what you will. That bloom will be your guide, test and proof of your conviction. In darkness, seek joy. Surrender not to sadness, and see beyond despair. Walk free, and bear the light for others to follow. Together, raise it aloft and let it shine, till the end, blinding and radiant.
That was all too brief. Already she seems so far away. My apologies if I startled you. Ever since we began our descent into Labyrinthos, I had sensed another's will, straining to reach out. Even with my particular talents, though, I was unable to make a connection at first, so weak and tenuous it was. Once I took hold of that wispy thread, Imagine my surprise to discover it was Heidelin herself. Needless to say, it seemed wise to learn what we could before letting go. Her answers were more cryptic than I would have liked, but at least she left us with a guide of sorts, that unusual flower. Yes, we are definitely making progress.
You can't be serious! We've done nothing wrong!
Master Fortuno, what business has the Forum with us?
Obstruction and suppression, apparently.
Mistress Baldessian, our records show you facilitated the Scions' entrance into Sharlayan by claiming them as assistants for your organization. We are aware of your investigations. After alerting the major institutions to the presence of potential troublemakers, we received word from an Archean custodian. A group operating under the auspices of the students, skulking about Labyrinthos and engaging in clandestine behavior.
Clandestine? We may not have entered Sharlayan as Scions, but we did naught to conceal our identities. Our only purpose in this city is to seek the truth. I can think of no reason why our actions should warrant the Forum's intervention.
'Tis not our way to discourage the pursuit of knowledge, but the timing of such pursuits must be considered, not to mention their potential impact. With the world in chaos, we, the true caretakers of wisdom, have committed ourselves to an undertaking that demands the utmost discretion. And we will not risk its success by turning a blind eye to disruptive foreign elements in our midst.
What, then, is to be our fate? Will you put us on a ship back to Eorzea?
The Forum will convene to examine your case. The results of said inquiry will determine your future in this city. As for your absent companion, he has already been detained.
Graha! But why? Is reading a crime now, too?
Reading is encouraged, celebrated even. Not, however, of the volumes shelved in the restricted section of the library.
Refusing to comply will only make matters worse. Let us instead treat this as an opportunity to open a dialogue with the Forum.
Silence is often one's best defense. I would advise against prolonging the proceedings with frivolous discourse. But enough. This is not the place for debate. The rostra await.
Forgive me. I was careless.
We would have been detained regardless. This way, at least, we managed to stay together. I trust your time within the Forbidden Archives was well spent.
The Forum will come to order! This inquiry is now in session. As Speaker-elect, I will be presiding over the day's proceedings. Master Fortuner, would you be so kind as to restate the matter which compelled you to summon your colleagues with such urgency?
As you are all aware, we recently denied Eorzea's request for Sharlayan assistance. Since then, certain individuals dissatisfied with our decision have taken it upon themselves to interfere with our work. They entered our nation masquerading as associates of the students of Baldessian. But these malcontents are better known as the Scions of the Seventh Dawn. These militants wield influence with both the Eorzean and Eastern alliances, and are inextricably involved with the crises presently afflicting the world at large. Loose in our city, these warmongers sought to meddle with and expose matters of state secret. What are they, if not a dire threat to be expelled?
You have tarnished the good name of the students. Galuf would be ashamed.
Galuf Baldessian was never one to forsake his fellow man. Even if this nation closed every door and retreated from the world, he would have found a way to help the Scions, help every soul of this star fight back against the coming doom.
A terrible enemy stands poised to lay waste to all we hold dear. In the face of such madness, Eorzea reached out to Sharlayan, a respected ally, in the hopes of forming a united front. Was your curt dismissal truly the best you could offer? Or are you so preoccupied with your momentous duty of an age-long past that even the end of the world is unworthy of your attention?
Whence came this revelation?
From the mouth of a Forum member within fortuitous earshot.
Then it seems your findings support my own. The reason I visited the restricted shelves was to study records of the Forum's policymaking process, to better understand the historical trends underlying their most major decisions. At first glance, the positions of neutrality in war and the accumulation of knowledge above all else appear constant and consistent, the unchanging pillars of Sharlayan society. And once upon a time, I might have left it at that. These days, however, I am more attuned to the subtleties of governance, and so I noticed something odd. From a particular point in time, the purpose of these policies shifted. No longer was knowledge preserved for the benefit of society. Rather, society was to be gradually reshaped to ensure the preservation of knowledge. The most conspicuous and telling change was the one which befell Labyrinthos. Once little more than an oversized storehouse, an enormous allocation of funds saw it transformed into an advanced research and archival facility. I also discovered a fascinating account on the finances of our Dravanian colony. The settlement attracted students from far and wide, and the connections and tuition fees thus acquired were funneled into further improvements for the archives. Now, there is no question that our nation's progress is tied to the acquisition of wisdom. Nevertheless, the vast resources diverted for this purpose borders on the obscene. But returning to the matter of when, our change in course appears to have been made some 270 years ago.
The very same period when Sharlayan scholars in the hinterlands began a formal study of the ethereal sea. You found something, did you not? And whatever it was, gave rise to your oh-so-important duty.
Mind your tongue, Archon. If you had seen...
Yes, we are bound by a duty we cannot ignore. Knowing this, what would you have us do? Abandon our vital work and join you on the field of battle? We will never choose the way of the sword. We will fulfill our mission not through strife and bloodshed, but survival. Come what may, we shall live on. We must.
Do as you must, then. But we Scions will fight until the heavens fall, until our last breath.
Such misguided zeal.
Father, Master Fortuno, I fail to understand the stance you have elected to take. But by the same token, I have yet to find a compelling argument to counter the challenge you put to us in Gridania. Still, in the midst of my uncertainty, I must trust in myself to do what is right, as others have chosen to trust in me. So I will continue, as I always have, weighing the consequences of my every action, and allowing my hope for the future to inform my decisions.
That's quite enough. Have you all forgotten the reason for this assembly?
Skolok Monteshane. He's the head of the studium and an old friend of my grandfather's.
Honestly, every discussion devolves into some interminable debate. Terrible habit. Let's return to the topic at hand, By their own admission, these Scions have resolved to fight alongside the Eorzean nations against the doom which swift approaches. But there exists no evidence of an attempt to incite our citizens to do the same. Furthermore, while our decision may well have been the correct one, we cannot simply bull our way through these disagreements without inviting doubts or objections. Put yourselves in their place. Who among you would leave a tome unopened if an elder forbid you read it with no reason given? No. If we're to quell further discontent, then we must conclude this matter with a fair and even hand.
will have order! Master Montaigne raises some valid points. Keeping such concerns in mind, I propose we enforce the following measures. Until further notice, the students of Baldessian are to cease any and all activities within the domain of Charlian. You will also refrain from any further investigation into the Forum's decisions and duties. Failure to comply with these restrictions will result in the immediate expulsion of your Scion associates. Let us put this judgment to a vote. All in favor, raise your hand. I count 51 for and 48 against. The proposal is passed. Students, Scions, you have heard the Forum's judgment. Pray abide by it, or face the consequences. Honored members, I thank you for your time. This inquiry is concluded.
Right, so that's that part done, and I think we're a few quests away from ending the Charlian segment of the early quest line. Estate Visitor. Oh, picture has grown clearer, yes, but that's despite the Forum being so manly vague about this duty of theirs. Why are they so reluctant to explain their actions in plain words? Survival, come what may, his father's work so vital that it takes precedence over his own family. Before the Forum, I came as swiftly as I could. I am so very glad that they allowed you to stay. I like to be chastised for speaking with my own children. Oh, well aware that you and Master Fortuno are not on the best of terms at the moment. But I've been absolutely desperate to see my darlings again. You will come by the house, won't you? I have gifts waiting. Yeah, so this is going to be the end of the Charlian segment of the early Endwalker quest line. I mean, if Amelians only knew that I just read a book to get this far. And then she was gone. With her, any opportunity. settled. Enjoy yourselves, you three. Right. Alpha No. Apologise, I'm not one to take no for an answer. Still, I am glad, relieved you to see her in such high spirits. And let's go to Alizo. Peeking into our private chambers, thank you very much. Why ever not? Your room was always perfectly neat and tidy. Everyone has things they'd rather keep to themselves, don't they? Cherished mementos you couldn't bring yourself to throw away, childhood toys. I mean, yeah, never mind, the Levier estate is that way, straight down the stairs, come on. Now on you two. Oh, good grief. Hang on a day. Seriously, you need to get your collision sorted out. Alpha No. Discuss the view from the bridge. Well, this bridge was as far as we were permitted to wander alone. I say alone, but my mother or so was always somewhere nearby, keeping a watchful eye. Now look at us, travelling to different continents, different worlds even. If I was going home from work. Must have been a day when it's been... Running down the path in panic, crying out my name. Right. Chameleons. And here we are in a cutscene.
Welcome home, my lady.
What? What are you gawping at?
Zon headquarters must seem squalid indeed.
I'll have you know I'm quite fond of the Rising Stones.
Lord Fortuneau is not to hear of this visit. And I should also like the children to have their gifts, ere my husband makes his return.
As you wish, my lady.
Master Alphino, Mistress Alice, if you'd accompany me upstairs.
We shan't be long.
The twins have been sending letters home from time to time, recounting their latest adventures. I am sure they withhold certain details, of course, if only to keep me from worrying. Yet a mother worries all the same. In the early days especially, I tried to support them as best I could, sending the Scion's coin and other such donations. Fortunately, they have found the strength to overcome adversity time and time again. Their words grow more confident with every letter, their depictions more vivid. The triumphs and defeats, the joys and sorrows. It is clear that they have come to find value in every experience. But of those they treasure most, it would seem that meeting you might be the most impactful. Why, since that fateful day, I do believe there has not been a single missive in which you were not mentioned by name. "'Tis plain they care for you, and I am glad they have such a steadfast companion watching over them. Under normal circumstances, I would offer you tea, but alas, these are anything but. In any event, why don't you keep me company whilst we await my children's return? Perhaps you might regale me with a tale or two of your exploits."
When you mentioned gifts, I wasn't sure what to expect. Mother,
Oh, look how well it fits you. And the style is to your liking?
It's perfect. Exactly what I would have chosen. But please, tell me you had something different made for Alphino.
Naturally. You are hardly little children anymore. And while I shall miss dressing you in those precious matching outfits, I must respect the individuals you have grown to become. See for yourself.
Thank you for the splendid clothes, Mother. Stylish, comfortable, and eminently practical.
I am so glad you like them. They are, however, missing one final touch.
If you'd allow me, Master Alphino.
Wait. Are these...
A sage's tools of the trade. They belonged to your father. Though he may as well be chained to his desk these days, as a student he was often called upon to venture into the field. He wielded those armaments, both to heal and to harm in no few battles. None so fierce as those you two have braved, perhaps, but battles nonetheless. Thus did I pull them out of storage, to show you that he was not always the man who stands in vehement opposition to you now. And also because it would be a terrible waste of ridiculously expensive House Leveilleur commissioned artistry. I am told these devices are quite difficult to master, but someone of your extensive experience should soon have them darting about with grace and aplomb. May the wisdom in that crystal serve you well. And please, try to find common ground with your father, that you might come and go without need for this awful subterfuge.
We will, Mother. I promise.
My final gifts to you before you run off are an observation and a suggestion. Firstly, Fortuno has ever been a serious man, but it was only after you were born that he truly lost himself in his work. I may not know the Forum's inner workings, but I know your father's. The timing of that change in him holds some significance. Secondly, do not seek to best your father with words. Far better that you simply show him. Let him discover the merit of your actions, after they cannot be undone.
Oh, Mother.
We shall take your wisdom to heart. Thank you again for these gifts, and farewell for now.
Safe travels, my children. Eat well, stay warm, and keep your friends close.
Okay, I might be a fair bit out of sync on the server. The content of your private conversation. Our visit was all too brief for now. Back to the annex. In the dark of the tower. Share the findings for our respective locales.
Your time in Thavnair has certainly been eventful. In my opinion, carrying out Vitra's request and assaulting the Tower of Zot should be our highest priority.
I agree. While I still have questions concerning the Forum and their grand undertaking, we have all but exhausted our avenues of investigation. Simply pressing them any harder on the subject will almost certainly result in our expulsion. Therefore, I suggest we explore the ethereal sea connection by way of a letter to Master Matoya, then make our way to Thavnair.
I wonder, even with the protection these talismans afford us, what can we hope to achieve once inside the tower? According to Orenvold and Frodola's report, they were unable to free the Emolja. Worse, their attempts triggered the tower's defenses, which led to a summoning of Luna Afrit.
What does it tell us that the Spires even have such defenses? Simply pulling a prisoner from the wall is fatal, thus the direct approach is doomed to failure from the outset. Any further measures to dissuade such actions seem unnecessary. Unless, of course, there is a way to free the prisoners without killing them. Then it stands to reason that any intruders would be met with overwhelming force.
The towers appeared throughout the world in but the twinkling of an eye. 'Twas by magical means these structures were raised, I surmise. A spire thus conjured must needs be maintained, and I suspect an arcane catalyst, some manner of core, doth lie hidden within. Destroy the core, and the tower ceaseth to be, thus liberating the captives without harm.
So we can hope, and I would prefer to enter the tower with a working theory than with no plan at all.
Assuming Ishtola's reasoning is correct, the chances of the defenses remaining dormant are small to none. Any primals will have to be dealt with, and defeating one will likely only lead to the summoning of another. Our every victory will only compound the prisoner's suffering.
May we not then divide our forces? Those proficient in healing will focus on sustaining the captives. That duty can be covered by Urianger, Kryl, Yostola, and myself. The remaining scions will proceed with the search for the core. Admittedly, this strategy puts both parties at greater risk, but it should bolster our chances of saving the Arcosodora by a considerable margin.
Sure, Alphino is in the right group.
If you're to fight primals, then you'd best have at least one healer with you.
And I am more than happy to fulfill that role. I found wielding a sage's armament to be rather intuitive, and look forward to testing them against a more challenging foe.
It seems we have a plan. All that remains is to carry it out. I will inform Rads at Han of our movements, so let us make our preparations and regroup near the tower.
The military post in what's left of the Hamsa hatchery should serve as a convenient staging point.
That sounds perfect. And remember, the experimental aetherite at the confluence is there for those who need it, so there's no excuse for being late.
Okay, and okay, we are actually good with all of that. So how much is it going to cost to, Alright, so it's going to be 300 back to Linsa. And then we can just airship over to... right, I need to actually check my, okay, so I do actually have everything configured properly. so there is one thing I need to actually have a look at, because I don't think I'll have the exploring. Although I'm actually gonna go. So I'm actually gonna go to the Crystarium, and I'm actually gonna see what of the all the side quests are they actually earmarked as completed. Aspiring Skywatcher, Middle of Nowhere, Minstrel from Another Mother, Manic Pixie Green Realm, A Job Well. Wait, they've still got the Ether Current quest unlocked available, even though they're already done. Right, hang on. I need to actually look at the yeah, they're not listed. I think I actually already done that before I went to yeah, so it has all of the quests completed all the way up to a month's legacy. Right, the Ultimate Ballad has actually been here, I think. Here, I think it's actually unlocked. Yeah, it's actually cleared all of the quests. My feisty little treasure. Oh yeah, I'd already completed that. Done. Thought through. Hang on, no, Gridanian. Okay, it hasn't done the house that Death built. Manor. Yeah, so everything's actually been earmarked. All of the extra ones have been earmarked as completed, except for quests that you have to for raid lines. Yeah, there's nothing in Azizla. Oh. Oh, that's right, the Palace of Lost Souls. Oh, that's for Shisui the Violet Tide. Tengan, King of the Castle, Lakeland. The time you hear this, yeah, so that's the quest for the twinning. Colusian, Academia Oneida, Armor Ring, there's nothing. Little Meg, nothing. Rextica, nothing. Tempest, Charlian, we haven't done anything. Nerian, we haven't done anything. Guardian, we haven't done anything. And all of these question marks are stuff that we haven't done. Yeah, so it's actually completed all of the quests, except for Bahamut, because the Crystal Tower we would have completed because that is mandatory, and everything else is empty. So your Hard Dark Apocalypse, nothing. Eden, nothing. Yeah, 'cause we got all of this. Yeah, because all of this, hitting the books to Estate Visitor is actually the first part of the chain. I think when I actually dropped, it was around here? No. I don't think we did this. I don't think I actually... Oh, this is, yeah, it was here. The cheese part where I actually stopped with this character and went through to actually get the skip. Then we got the Ashley requests. Heavenswood. Dragon Song War. Post-Dragon Song. Stormblood. Post-Stormblood. Shadowbringers. I'm guessing they actually have post-Shadowbringers broken up into two lines to show the gaps in the from the first, from when everyone was in the first to when everyone is back in the source. Which that definitely answers my question. I bet you anything if I actually went over the that you can actually unlock all the remaining quests. So let's just quickly go to Gridania, get the just quickly speed through Starlight, and then we can quickly go to then we can just teleport to Favnir, or actually teleport to Yehimad and end things here. And I'm actually going to skip the cutscene since we've already done all of the stuff earlier on. Right. fact, I've actually done this twice on stream earlier on, and another 3 times off stream. Because with this actually complete, well, because with everything complete up to Endwalker, we should actually get the same list. Oh. Oh. That's unexpected. Oh yeah, that's right. While I'm in Gridania, I can actually, oh, yeah, we quickly head back here. Yeah, a lot of people were not spawned in. And skip cutscene. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come back here and yeah, the house that Death built wasn't unlocked. Neither is a sight to behold, which I think is the this is causing my computer to chug badly. Yes, I think I'm gonna have to stay outside, stay out of Gridania while I'm streaming. This is causing my frame rate to chug badly. System configuration. Yeah, we appear to actually be holding our frame rate cap. Make it reindeer. Right. I just wonder. Okay, yeah, so we only have 4. So the Great Lone Growery, the Level Workers Guild, and the markets are areas where you encounter characters that are actually in Gridania. So the markets is where you would see Mama Miune. Great Lone Growery are the masters of the Botanist and the Carpenters Guild, and the Level Workers Guild is the masters of the Level Workers Guild. The Whistling Miller is where you run into Emmerich. The other one, the Apkalu Falls, is where you run into Emanuele and Sickard. But their little interactions are only found out once you get through Endwalker. Hence the reason why it's not here in this list. Right. Shall we be away and head back into the only giving us level 60 maximum for some unknown reason. Right, let's get back to the Aetheryte Plaza in Gridania. Right, it's probably gonna take a while to actually load this in because let's see how things are here. Yeah. This is massive chug. Until I actually get away from the maddening crowd. A sight to behold. Right. So, hang on. Oh. That's why. Oh. It's now time for Chuggernaut again. This is worse than the Aetheryte Plaza. Okay, you know something? I think I actually need to set a character title. Yeah, there we go. Age-worn log. There's a mutton monger. It slipped my mind entirely. Might be, Right. Seek out a place where afford the Fane and look out upon your surroundings. Afford the Fane will actually mean the Stillglade Fane, aka what's near the Conjurer's Guild. Yeah, the first thing I really need is a more decent computer, and the second thing I need is a better graphics card. As I said earlier, once 7.0 drops with its updated graphics, I need to stop biting my cheek. Right, and look out. No, look out. unlock the sightseeing log. Yeah, I think we need to actually, you know what? I think I might actually... head back to, head back to the old company, the Grand Company, building and dump all that trash in. That's the point. Do I actually have expert deliveries unlocked? Time provisioning missions, expert delivery. Oh. Serpent Sergeant 2nd Class. And I don't have sufficient seals. Oh well, that's gonna be fun. So let's put an end to all of this mess. Right, well actually the Great Work is going to be closer to our final destination, so I will teleport there. And then we will actually be ending things. Yeah, because our point of entry to the old tower is right over there. So, well, I will be ending it here, but I'm going to have to keep the game running because I need to log out of this character, change data centers, and log into another character just so that I don't have to mess with that when I come back online in the afternoon, since it's now 6 in the morning here. But yeah, that is going to be it for today and for this week. So the next scheduled stream is going to be on Tuesday at, well, starting around 5:30, but as I always say, it always depends on when I get stuff done. So I will catch you lot on Tuesday.